Se preparó, se puso linda, su amiga llamaba. Salió de rumba, nada le importó, porque su novio ella le engañó. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be doing another video for you guys. So today's video is going to be something a little different. It was requested, so I decided I would go ahead and kind of answer questions and stuff like that. So let's just get right on into the video. The first question that I got asked was, how did I get into doing hair and just cosmetology? How did I get in kind of to a salon? And I kind of just wanted to take the time to film this video, kind of talking to you guys kind of about like my experience and just kind of like how I got into doing hair, how I got into doing makeup, and just kind of going to cosmetology school and just kind of how I did everything. So yeah, I've been having, which is so crazy, I didn't think I would get such good feedback on my client horror story time series, but that has been actually doing really well, surprisingly, because I thought people were gonna come for me and all of those, but it's been doing really well. And I've been having a lot of people that are also other professionals in the same industry come and tell me like how they relate as well, so that's been really cool. So for starters, a lot of people kind of like to ask me how long have I been doing hair. So I've actually been doing hair, I'm going on my 3rd year of having my cosmetology license, which is really exciting. I actually went to beauty school when I was in high school. I don't know if I still have story times, but I used to have a story time of when I was in beauty school, because it literally was like high school part 2 with all of the gossip and drama that went on in beauty school. You guys would seriously be like so surprised how crazy that whole situation was. If you guys like want me to do a story time on that whole experience, I will, because that literally was psycho. I think I attract all of this drama. But yeah, so I actually did it in high school. They did a college high school program, so I did it my junior and senior year of high school, which was amazing. The high school paid for my whole, to pay for that. So what actually ended up happening was I signed up for it. I entered it my junior year. I really liked it. The only thing with beauty school, and just pretty much with any school, is that you really don't learn too much. You don't really learn anything. You learn your basics, and then that's pretty much it. Everything else you kind of teach yourself when you get out into the real world and when you're actually doing clients. Definitely this industry is all about hands-on. I mean, people can kind of explain to you. You can do like seminars and classes, and they can explain to you and teach you their techniques, but I feel like until you actually do it like hands-on and practice it, you really don't learn much doing beauty, I guess. So that was kind of the first thing. That was my junior year. It was really good. Then they were telling me how, you know, like if you wanted to finish faster, you could do summer courses. So I actually didn't want to put my parents through paying for my anything for school. I wanted to be, and I've always been like this, like super like independent. I was like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. Like I don't want any help. So I actually went out and I got a job during the summer so that I could pay to go to school during the summer. And so I took 2 courses to finish it faster. They were really boring. I can't believe I wasted like a whole summer on this, but you know, it was worth it, whatever. It was really exhausting, because I literally did high school where I had to wake up super early, and then pretty much did the same exact thing during summer and went to beauty school instead. So I live in a small town. Beauty school was pretty boring because all we really got to practice on were older people, because we were right next to a like a senior citizen center kind of thing. So it was really boring. We did a lot of pedicures and manicures and a lot of perms and wet sets, and it was terrible. But that was kind of my experience with beauty school and like how much I actually learned in school. Then jumped into senior year. My senior year, it was great. I actually finished all my hours, my 1,500 hours that I had to complete. I finished it about 3 or 4 months early, so I literally was just chilling for a while, literally doing nothing, just waiting, because I couldn't go take my test because, I mean, I was already 18, but I couldn't take my test for that because I had to have a high school diploma, which I did not have until like 3 or 4 months later. So I actually had to wait to graduate high school before I could go and take my test. So yeah, so I took my test. My first test was the handwritten portion. I was so not prepared. I'm gonna be honest with you guys with that. I had to take it 2 times before I passed because I really, like I said, was kind of like messing around in school. I wasn't really paying that much attention to what I should have been doing. And so I had to take that 2 times. And if you guys like want a separate video of how to study and prepare for that exam, let me know, because I did have a video on that on my old channel and it got deleted. So I will do a whole new video for you guys and show you guys how to study for it and how to ace it, because literally after I did these tips and stuff and I knew, the second time around I like aced that and it was so good. So I had to do that, and then I was getting ready and I did my hands-on and I actually passed that the first time around. I feel like that was just so much easier. It's really intense, you get so nervous, but it's not that bad. I actually applied right out of school. I applied at Ulta and I kind of wanted to work in the Ulta salon, but like I said, I didn't learn anything about hair in school. So I literally was starting from like zero. Like I really didn't know anything. So I worked there, as you guys know. I did a story time over it. I worked there for about like a month or 2. I think I just worked there for like a month and it was a terrible experience. I really didn't learn anything. The manager at the Ulta salon said she was going to like mentor me and kind of like teach me her techniques and her ways and just watch her and everything. So she gave me a position as pretty much like the receptionist. So when she was there, I would kind of do what I had to do, but also watch her. And since it is a corporation and she did not schedule herself to be there when I was there, it was a big mess and it just wasn't what I was expecting. And I just didn't end up liking it and it was a pointless job. So I ended up quitting. If you guys want the full story of what happened there, because that was a whole annoying thing, I will have it somewhere on here, I'm sure. And so yeah, so after I worked there, I was like, man, like, I really have always wanted to be like an independent contractor, like work for myself, know what I'm doing, you know, like all these kinds of things. So it was really hard to kind of like work for somebody else because I didn't really want to work for anybody else starting off the bat. I've always, like I've said, I've always been really independent where I kind of want to do my own schedule, come up with my own hours, that kind of stuff. My parents were like, well, you're gonna have to find a job. I think I went like 1 or 2 months where I literally was just doing nothing out of high school and I just was like unmotivated to do anything. And so I finally went ahead, applied at some like franchise hair salons. I ended up getting a job at a Great Clips. Great Clips, it was okay of an experience. It was only 15 minutes from my house, so it was like kind of close. And I actually learned how to cut hair because I didn't know how to cut hair. Great Clips is pretty much a majority of the clients that come in there are guys, but they do also accept girls. So I was able to learn how to cut both hair. I knew how to cut girls' hair and guys' hair, and it was an okay experience. I didn't mind it. I really felt like an outsider when I worked there just because I didn't fit in. I was really young. I was 18 years old and I was also with a bunch of older women that were married, had children. Like, I don't know, the environment was just like not for me. I just didn't relate to anybody there. Literally pretty much everybody there was like 30 and up, so it was just kind of weird. Like when you go to work, you kind of want to like, you know, have like a work bestie, somebody that you can just like relate to, hang out with, and you know, have like work friends. And that really wasn't the case. There was like an older lady there and she just pretty much would tattletale on me for everything. She knew I was new, that I really didn't even know how to cut hair, and she really like could care less, and she was always getting me in trouble for stuff. She was always looking down at me, belittling me, always like just like rude. It wasn't like mentoring, because the manager was definitely a really good mentor and she definitely showed me how to cut hair. She was very, very nice about it and she'd explain everything. This lady was just really mean, and they called her, like everybody at that salon called her like just like a grouchy old lady. Like she was just always in a bad mood. Nothing was gonna make her happy. So they ended up telling me, because the owner owned like a different location in a different town, and so they were like, oh, will you drive over here? So from that particular Great Clips to the other location, it was about a 30-minute drive, but since I live in a different town on the opposite side, it was like a 45-ish to an hour minute drive for me. So I ended up doing it one time, and I was like, whatever. I ended up working like 12 hours that day. Well, maybe not 12, maybe like 10 hours that day. It was a long day. And I worked 2 shifts. And so I went over there. I ended up really hitting it off with the girls that worked there. They were younger, they were more fun, they were just like wanting to go out all the time. They were like super, super funny. Like they just would make me laugh so much. So I ended up working there for about 6 months. And everybody was really nice and everything. I finally burned out because when you work in that kind of industry at a franchise salon, they really don't give a crap about you. They don't care how you feel. And at least the ones I worked at, they didn't ever care. They were like, as long as the job gets done, like, good. If it doesn't get done, like, you're doing the job wrong and you'll be on bad terms with whoever's in charge. So I finally burned out, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm so tired of, like, you know, like driving so far and then nobody caring about like, oh, I want to get this certain day off. Like they're like, no. And I was like, okay. Like I told my parents, because I was living with my parents at the time, I was like, okay, I need to find like another job closer to home. And I remember like at that job, I would just like go on my lunch break and I would just like cry to my mom. This is like so first world problems. I was like 18, I think I was like 18, 19, and I would just cry to my mom and be like, oh my god, I'm so over it. Like I'm so tired all the time. It's the drive is killing me, and then I'm on my feet all day. And it's just not fun anymore. Like the girls, even though the girls were nice and they were funny, they just weren't cutting it enough for me to where I wanted to work there still. So I would just be like, okay, I'm so tired, I'm over it. Like I'd be like having a mental breakdown. I feel like especially in this industry, there's like goals that you want to be at and places where you want to be, and I just was not happy with what I wanted to do. I wasn't like proud to say like, oh, I work at Great Clips. Now I can say, oh, I used to in the past, but at that time I was like kind of ashamed of it, which you shouldn't be. But I was just like, this is just not where I want to be, and this isn't like my idea of a beauty industry of where I wanted to be. They were like, okay, find something closer to work. So I ended up quitting. February, March actually, I quit and I started working at a Supercuts that was really close to where I live. I actually had applied at 2 places. I applied for an apprenticeship at a salon, which I'll get into later, and then I applied for a Supercuts. So since Supercuts was closer to me and that apprenticeship was an hour away as well, I had just came from a job where I was doing that. So my parents were like, no, and you need to make real money. And you know, apprenticeships, they sometimes don't pay you well. So I ended up going with the Supercuts. I only worked for Supercuts, you guys, for 6 months. It was a terrible, terrible experience. I would do a story time. Literally all these jobs that I've worked at, it has just been terrible. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm way too high maintenance for these jobs. I worked at this Supercuts. Home office was so immature, inappropriate, just terrible people to work with. The manager, she was a black lady, actually would be really rude about some of the things they would say, very racist things. They would, like, I would hear conversations between the manager and home office because she would have it on speaker, and they would be like, you know, other people would quit because they were so unprofessional and they didn't do things legally. And they were like, well, they're just minimum wage hairdressers, so what are they gonna do? They can't afford a lawyer. So they would just say things like that. Like, they were just terrible people. There was like 3 people there. There was a person that does the money. She was just supposed to handle money. There was a computer tech that would handle all of our like technical things like the register and everything in our system. And then there was the actual person who is supposed to be like, not a general manager, but like a head of a general manager. And she's the one that's supposed to hire managers, general managers, and stylist employees and stuff like that. And literally the computer guy would be the one to like fire people, be calling people to get them in trouble, like stuff that wasn't in his element. He would like call and try to yell at you for it. So it was a terrible experience. I ended up they ended up owing me money it was a big mess to talk about all of it. They ended up owing me money, and I actually never saw my money. And I did text them because they did have, you know, give you the personal numbers or whatever. So I did text them and I was like, hi, like, just want to let you know that I will be filing like a lawsuit because I never got my money, and you're supposed to pay me for my last week's pay and like all this stuff. And you guys, I kid you not, I probably still have it on my phone from a year ago. I kid you not, they literally replied with laughing face emojis and the little like okay emoji. And yeah, after that happened, I was like, F you guys. I didn't literally say it, but in my head, I was like, whatever. So when I quit that job, I ended up moving to the city that I was driving an hour to. And I ended up moving in with an ex-coworker and my ex-boyfriend. And that in itself should have been a big red flag for my life of why was I moving in with an ex-boyfriend. So at that time I did try to work at a dry bar. Working at a dry bar for a little bit. I only worked there, I kid you not, I literally was jumping jobs at this point. I only worked at dry bar I think for like a month, maybe not even a month. I think I only worked at dry bar for like 2 weeks. I literally just like, yeah, not even, maybe like a week or two. I hated dry bar, but I only think I hated dry bar was because I think there was just way too many changes going on in my life, and it was just another change, something that I wasn't used to. I had to get used to that job. So it was the first time I had ever had like a legit serious boyfriend. It was the first time that I had like ever moved away from home. It was the first time living with someone. It was the first time being in like a new city and doing blowouts and stuff. And my grandpa had just passed away, I had been living with my whole entire life. He literally lived with me and my parents since I was born, since before I was born. So there was just like way too many things going on in my life, and I think that's why I didn't do well at dry bar. So I ended up quitting dry bar. I applied for an assistant manager position at another Great Clips ran by another owner, because Great Clips had never done me wrong. They had promised me that I would get the position. Literally, that interview, you guys, was so long. I'm not even kidding. That interview was like 2-3 hours long. That was like a forever long interview. 2-3 hours long. It literally was so long. And it was kind of hard to understand. He wasn't from here. The guy that owned the whole company, he wasn't from here. I forgot where he was from. Just like not a pleasant person to work under. He was very stingy with everything, like all the money. I mean, like, you're supposed to be stingy when you're a business owner. You're supposed to account for everything. But what I mean he was stingy, I mean like he would yell at us for not selling products, but then he would take our products to a different location so he wouldn't have to order new products. So it didn't make sense. Like, he wanted us to sell it because he didn't want to waste money, but then we didn't have any products to sell. So then he would yell at us again because there was no products. But I'm like, you didn't buy any. And not only that, he was just so stingy with everything, like EPA, like stuff that is to clean our tools, like clipper oil, EPA, spray to sanitize everything. We wouldn't have some of that stuff, you guys, for like 2 days to like a week. We wouldn't have that stuff because he never wanted to stock up and spend the money on it. He wanted to like wait until the very last thing. Like, he would come into the store and we would have 1 bottle left, and we would be like, oh, we need some more because, you know, there's like 5 of us, and to only have 1 bottle, it's gonna go out super fast. He's like, oh, you guys still have a bottle? I'm like, yes. So that place was annoying. They ended up like, he had promised me a position that he never gave me. I never became an assistant manager or a manager or any of that. And they kept like just saying like, yes, you are gonna be it. Yes, you are gonna be it. About 3 months went by and I never heard any more of that position. They pretty much were treating me like a regular stylist. There was a lot of drama going on before I got there, so I kind of would hear the aftermath of it. So I don't even know what happened. So yeah, so during this time, I was like, girl, I'm just not happy with my life. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what I'm doing with this career. Like, do I even want to do hair? Do I want to go back to college? Like, what do I want to do? So I ended up looking on Instagram. I saw that the same salon I had applied a year before was doing a whole new apprenticeship. So they were, you know, looking for more girls. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I am going to apply and see if I get it. I went in for an interview. She hired me. And I pretty much, which is terrible, but I pretty much put that apprenticeship above my other job, working at the Great Clips that I applied to be an assistant manager for. And I would get in so much trouble because she'd be like, no, I scheduled you for this day. She would do like 2 weeks in advance. And I was like, well, I can't because I have my other job, and she just gave me her schedule too. And so there was always like a conflict. But I did up front, I did tell her, like, I am treating this apprenticeship like I'm in school, and if I said I was in college or if I was in school taking classes, you would understand. But since like it's not like that, it's like for doing hair, you don't see it that way. So I told her up front, like, this job, I'm putting it above. I told her, like, eventually I'm not gonna work here anymore. I never heard back. I felt really like disrespected because I never heard back. Like, they kept promising me this position to be like a manager, assistant manager, but they never went through with it. And that's what originally I was supposed to be hired for. And they just kept playing with me. They kept telling me that, I mean, she was just kind of a bad manager anyways, the lady, because she would just kind of tell me like she didn't care about my personal life. I was gonna have to do what she wanted me to do, and it was just really unfair. She would get me in trouble all the time for stupid stuff, and I would come in early. Even though I did tell her the other job was more important, I still was putting a lot into that job. When other coworkers couldn't come in, I would cover their shifts. I would come in earlier. I would stay later. I was not problematic. There was a lot of controversy because the guy wanted us to, whatever money we made that day, he wanted us to take it to the bank in the middle of the night to deposit it, which in the city is kind of dangerous because, you know, you never know who's watching you and who could like come up on you, especially if it's a routine thing. Yeah, so no, I actually ended up going full time with my apprenticeship, so I quit that job. I actually didn't quit that job for my apprenticeship. Y'all, I had a hard year that year. Last year was a lot for me. Me and my ex, we went through a lot of shit, and I ended up moving back home because he's stupid. The great privilege to be able to do my apprenticeship and not have to worry so much about the pay, and if I was making monies and bills and everything, because I moved back home. So actually that breakup was a blessing in disguise, so thank you, because that actually ended up working for me. So I was able to do it. I did my apprenticeship for 5 months, and I kind of learned the techniques and everything, and I ended up becoming a booth renting hairstylist, which is where I'm at now. So nice. And it's great. I am my own boss. I can give myself my own clothes, what I can wear to work, my own dress code. I come up with my own hours, my own days that I want to work. I come up with the own products that I want to use, my own techniques. I don't have to use anybody's like specific technique for anything. So it's just, I'm an independent contractor. It comes with a lot of good things and bad things. One bad thing, of course, is you have to do your own taxes, which is a little annoying, but it's great. Like, literally everything else is just great. That's kind of how I got into the hair world. That is kind of my hair story. It is where I am right now. If you guys want me to get in depth into certain things, this is just kind of the overlay of like how I did hair, how I got to where I am today. I have a lot of plans, you guys, for my Glammed by Ez. I have a lot of things that are coming up, which I'm really excited to share with you guys, because you guys are like my family and I love telling you guys like everything. And so I have a lot of future plans. So be prepared for what is to come with Glammed by Ez and this YouTube channel. I don't know what exactly I want to do with it yet, but we shall see. If you guys have any questions specifically about how I started doing what I was doing, or want me to do videos on certain topics, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will do a whole separate video for you guys talking about it. and just let me know everything, whatever you guys want to know. I am so ready to share with you guys. I am an open book. I'm down for whatever you guys want to get from me or whatever. So anyways, with that being said, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.